Hi there, Scott, ROCKFILE, back with the podcast review for you. Going to talk about, for the second time, the 2022 film, Violent Night. Last year I missed this one in the theaters, I red boxed it, and I really liked it. But I wasn't going to buy a Blu-ray because I wanted it in 4K. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm future-proofing my collection. And a lot of movie companies, especially Universal and a couple others like Paramount, are releasing things on Blu-ray with some 4K restoration, and then 6 months to a year later, then releasing it on 4K. It's like, well, if you gave it a 4K restoration, why don't you release them all at the same time? This may be to make extra money, so people will double dip. I'm not really sure. It doesn't really make any sense. But I had the inkling that this and a couple other movies that I saw last year would eventually get a 4K release. They're Universal movies. This one, Black Phone, and a couple others. Well, this one, nice 4K release, nice 4K Steelbook release. The Black Phone got 4K in the United States and Steelbooks in other countries. So Universal does come around and realize we want some of these movies in 4K. Again, it was fine on Blu-ray, but it really looks amazing in 4K. So I revisited it last night, and it's moved up, in my opinion. Sometimes when I watch a movie, it goes down. Sometimes it goes up. Sometimes it stays the same. If it's a movie I've seen more than once, then normally my review doesn't really change a whole lot, and I don't do one. But I know I gave this a good review last year. I did not listen to it before now, and I really dig it this year. I was thrilled, laughed, and even touched by the movie for this time, my second time through. Only the second time I watched it. So the short version is, if you haven't watched this yet, it's a very R-rated, Die Hard with Santa kind of movie. It's very violent, but it also has a lot of heart. A lot of heartwarming stuff happens. It's pretty dark. But in the end, it's really a nice Santa Claus movie, I think. A nice holiday Christmas film. And I'll get into the review. But if you don't want any spoilers and you don't want to know any more about it, just go watch the movie. Trust me. So for those that don't know anything about the movie, David Harbour from Stranger Things and Other Movies plays Santa Claus. And in the beginning, he's in a no-name bar in England, and there's another guy who plays Santa Claus with him at the bar, and they're talking, why do you do this? And they don't really get that he's the real Santa Claus until the end of the scene, right? But Santa Claus is kind of down on his luck. He's not doing so well. He's drinking a lot and stuff like that. So then it cuts and we're introduced to this family. And I got to say, this is one of the best things the movie decides to do was give us real characters. Now, the family, the people who are trying to rob the family, all of that could have been just cookie cutter characters, paper thin, no motivations. They could have just been fodder for what happens later in the movie, but they didn't. And Tommy Wirkola, who directed this movie, is known for his, shall we say, horror movies. So for him to make a movie like this is heartwarming and does have some of that horror movie-esque vibe to it, I think it turned out really well. Everybody in the movie is great. John Leguizamo is the villain, and at times he's your typical John Leguizamo villain, but every once in a while he surprises you. There's a little more depth to this villain than the usual John Leguizamo villain. Everybody else in the movie, from Beverly D'Angelo to some of the other smaller actors, I think do a great job. I haven't seen Beverly D'Angelo in a long time. Remember from the Vacation movies? Yeah. Now she's old enough to be the matriarch of this rich family. So the story is basically the rich family is getting robbed by heavily armed men, and Santa Claus happens to be there. And it turns out Santa Claus has a history. He kind of, before he was Santa Claus, was like a Viking or something. And the movie goes into a little background on where Santa Claus came from and what he used to do, which I think was awesome. But the movie doesn't take itself too seriously, but it also kind of does. And David Harbour is really a great Santa Claus. He's been doing this for over 1,000 years. He's been married to the same woman for over 1,000 years. He's a little tired, but through the events of the movie, he refines his spirit, his magic of Christmas. He's reinvigorated to keep doing what he does. And after talking at the beginning of the movie, that's quite the change. He actually does go through quite a bit of character change throughout the movie, which is, again, more than you expect from a movie called Violent Night. When I watched this last year, I expected it to be just, mindless fun entertainment, bloody, gory, whatever. It's not. I mean, yes, there are some scenes. I mean, he kills people with a variety of things, from candy canes to snowblowers. But again, The bad guys deserve it. They're really bad guys. And the movie is tongue-in-cheek and fun with this idea that Santa Claus is real, and he's just trying to do the right thing. Why is the world so screwed up? Why can't people just be good? So anyway, how they work into how Santa Claus does what he does and some of the Christmas magic and all that, I think it's wonderfully done. It's all different than what you've seen before. It doesn't play out like anything you've seen before. It definitely plays out like an R-rated, adult, pretty hardcore Christmas, almost horror movie, but there's comedy, there's heartwarming moments, and in the end, you come away with this kind of Christmassy feeling. And watching it the first time, there was a mid-credits scene, but watching it this time, I kind of let the movie play, and there it was, tiny little mid-credits scene, but it's still pretty funny. All in all, staying away from spoilers and everything, this has become my favorite holiday movie. I mean, I still like Elf and Scrooge and a few others. I like some of the classics and things like that. But I got first of all, you have such a fun ride for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, however long the movie is, of wow, I didn't think that would happen, or oh my God, I can't believe that happened kind of thing, or I can't believe they just said that. To, at the end, oh, I'm kind of touched and heartwarmed, and what more do you want? I mean, I don't watch those Hallmark movies because they're all cookie cutter and the same, and I don't get a heartwarming feeling at the end of them. But Santa Claus just took out a whole bunch of bad guys, and now he's found the spirit of Christmas again? Oh, that warms the cockles of my little old heart. What do you know? So anyway, if you haven't watched it yet and you missed us for the last year, 'tis the season. Go rent, stream, or pick up a copy. Now, to get into the 4K, it's a native 4K transfer with HDR10. I'm not sure. Most of the reviews say no Dolby Vision. My Dolby Vision light clicked on, but I turned it off because I read that it was HDR10. Regardless, the movie looks so much better than the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray looked flat, kind of. I put it in after. There were some close-ups where you see every whisker on Santa's face, every pore on somebody else's face, the details in the Christmas trees, the needles, and all that kind of stuff. It is a very sharp 4K transfer and has an incredible Dolby Atmos soundtrack. I don't believe the Blu-ray was Atmos. The 4K is. You've got some upper channel stuff, everything from the reindeers flying around and landing on the roof to all sorts of explosions, gunfire, snowing, you name it. There were upper channels were used, rear channels were used. I thought the surround sound was really great. I thought the picture was a lot better than I expected. And Universal released this. It's a Best Buy exclusive. You can still buy it today. A really nice steelbook. It is more like a steelbook that we would get in Europe. It's embossed. It has kind of edges on it. It's hard to describe in a podcast that you can't see, but it's a beautiful steelbook. It was, when I got it in the mail, it was like, wow. I would have ordered this had I known it was this beautiful, but I ordered it anyway because I've been waiting on this movie. Anyway, it's definitely worth getting in 4K. The picture and the sound were better than the Blu-ray. And like I said, it's now become my top one. I'll still probably watch Elf and Scrooge and a few others this holiday season, but I'm glad I watched Violent Night to kick it off. What a great movie. I mean, again, grandma might be offended. If you don't like violence, it's probably not your kind of thing. But if you watch movies like John Wick, or Zissou, which, by the way, the producers of John Wick did Violent Night, if you didn't know. It's that kind of movie. You know, it has that kind of level of violence in it. It's pretty bloody and all that. But again, you walk away with this Christmas warm-hearted feeling at the end, and what more do you want from a Christmas movie? 2022's Violent Night with David Harbour as Santa Claus is my new favorite holiday movie. I'm going to watch it every Christmas. I may even watch it again this season just because it was so much fun. It'd be good to have people over, pop some popcorn, and enjoy your favorite beverages or whatever, and really have a fun time with it because it's that kind of movie. Now, like I said, it does take a little bit to get started after you get that first funny bit out. We get into the family. And if they didn't do that, if you didn't know or care about these characters, then the rest of the movie would probably be a lot flatter than it is. But because you kind of know their motivations and what's behind them, and some you like and some you don't, it does make everything else better in the long run. Violent Night, surprisingly good. When I saw this the first time, I thought it was surprisingly good, but now watching it a second time, it's one of my all-time favorites for the holiday season. Go see it now. It's available streaming, Redbox it, Blu-ray, and I highly recommend the 4K. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE, another podcast review for you. Thanks for taking time out of your day to listen to one, and have a spectacular rest of your day.